Listening to 95.7 The Choice. My guest here in the studio, Tiffany Thompson. Tiffany, what brings you to Asheville?
I'm actually down here on a little reunion in DC. I was in a book club for a number of years, and two of our members moved down to Chattanooga. So four of us from DC made the trek down from there yesterday, and then the two from Chattanooga drove up, and we're staying in an Airbnb place called the Love Shack down the road. So we're just enjoying the city and hitting up the sites and thrift store shopping and Grove Park Inn, hot chocolate sipping, and now music playing.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And I removed your excuse because you said, well, do you have a keyboard?
Yeah.
And we just happened to have one stuffed in the closet, had that big Yamaha, that big Titanic Yamaha motif, which weighs like 1,000 pounds. So no excuses allowed here. You know, you walk in and say, hey, I'm a musician. We're going to put you to work.
Seriously. I'm going to earn my tea tonight, that's for sure.
Cool. We'll keep the tea flowing.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. It's so great to have you. One of the things I love about my job is I get to meet some really, really cool people, great people. We just kind of do our thing. We open up the doors. We have some music playing and a place for artists to come. And I just get to meet some of the coolest people in the world. It's just a great, great experience. And, of course, as you know, the setup here, one of the unique things about what's going on here, we've got a radio station, and it's a front window of the cafe, and it's a restaurant, but it's also a music venue. So it's really kind of a unique atmosphere.
Definitely.
So we're going to record this interview. We're going to put it up on our website, 957thechoice.com. And so if you miss part of this and you want to hear it all, you can, of course, go to our website and check out the recorded interview, as well as Tiffany's going to be playing here, and she's going to be here live. So why get the recorded when you can get the real thing? All right, so get all the preliminaries out of the way.
Yeah.
Tell us about yourself. I mean, I've talked to you for all of like 10 minutes. You're a complete total stranger, and I hope, you know, that this is all going to work out, but this is how we roll. So just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in music.
Definitely. Well, I have always been a singer, and I was born in Iowa, lived there for about 6 years, and then my family moved to Moscow, Russia, and lived there for a while. And I have two older brothers, and they're both musicians.
Did you live in Moscow?
We did, yeah.
Okay.
92 to 97.
How old were you when you lived in Russia?
I was 6 to 11.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Can you speak any Russian?
It's so poor. My language is so poor now that I try to not speak it because I embarrass myself.
That is a tough language. My hat's off to anybody that can even say hello in Russian.
Oh, I can do that.
Can you?
Yeah.
Give me a hello in Russian.
Привет, меня зовут Tiffany Thompson.
Wow, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I love it. I wish I still spoke it.
Yeah. Yeah. Out of the European languages, other than like, say like, Italian, there's something about Russian. I don't know. That's
it's cool.
Just got a lot of passion behind the language.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Well, cool. So from Russia to
Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Lived there for 7 years. Went to middle school, high school there, and then
second musical capital city underneath Asheville.
I
Sorry,
know.
I'm very Asheville prejudiced. Someday
okay.
Austin will be as good as Asheville, but
someday.
it's just they're working on it. Well.
I think I soaked up the music while I was there. I never attended South by Southwest when I was in high school. I was definitely not cool in high school. And, we lived in the suburbs, and so I just never made it down to the city. But last year I went to South by, and, it was just such an awesome experience and stuff.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
well,
we lived there for a while.
We hope your experience in Asheville will just blow that away.
Yeah, right. It's already,
we're gonna work on it.
we're playing a gig, and it's hours after we met, so it's already pretty awesome.
Okay, cool. So then what?
Then to Chicago, Illinois area, where my family ended up moving as well. And I went to a small private school outside of the city called Wheaton College and studied political science and theology there. An unlikely combination, but I really enjoyed it. It was good. And then I just started...
Do you have to be bipolar to study those two subjects?
Right? Yeah. A little bit complicated. Yeah, it was a good combination.
Okay.
Led to critical thinking.
Yes.
So that was good. And did a couple of records in college and made all my friends buy them. So I had about 100 CD sales each time.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, it was the true sign of friendship to buy my $10 record, that's for sure. and then moved out to DC, which is where I live. I live about 10 miles outside of the city,
Okay.
in a place called Alexandria, Virginia.
Yep.
And have been there on and off.
What brought you to DC?
Political science stuff. So I had
Yeah.
internships and things in undergrad, and then was always interested in kind of doing that, and then had a great place to stay, good community up there.
Okay.
And was there until middle of 2011 when I started traveling for a year doing music full time.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So,
now I'm back in DC.
We talked a little bit before we came on air. That music thing has a way of gnawing at you
It
and
does.
clawing at you, and it won't leave you alone.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, music is a way of bringing people together and of communicating the things that are good and beautiful and truthful in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's just something so deeply satisfying when you get the opportunity to share the songs and the stories that are personal to you, and then to see those reach into somebody else's life and affect them. And
It's like magic. It's just the coolest thing in the world.
And then just to write music that's really hooky and people dance to is also great.
So it's been a year since you finally succumbed to this, this thing.
This stuff, yeah. I mean, I had done a record in 2009, an EP. That was my first kind of pop EP that's on iTunes. And then played that in the DC area mostly, and then I did another record kind of over the course of the summer in, I guess it was 2010 to 2011, released that and toured that in 2011.
So full studio projects?
Full studio projects, yeah.
How did you find that when you, I assume you had a producer or somebody
Definitely,
producing? Okay.
yeah.
Again, some of these questions sort of get repetitive, but the answers are always kind of cool.
Yeah.
As a singer-songwriter, you write your song and it's sort of your baby and your thing. What was your reaction to having now a producer get his hands in your creation and give his input? How did you feel about that, and how did that work for you?
I think every artist is so different, and the way that they kind of view their art and what they're doing and how they want their producer to interact with them. And I think for me, I have two older brothers and a really awesome dad who I always seek input from on things.
Okay.
And a mom who is lots of input.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I really love it when I'm working with people who are experts in their field and they're making something better.
Okay.
Because for me, there is artistic integrity, and I think the lyrics I want to really have those say what I'm intending, but when it comes to kind of the way that the music is built out and the way that we do the drums or those things, especially...
So you're more flexible on the musical side, but
Yeah.
don't touch my lyrics?
Well, because these guys have been doing, or women have been doing this for 10 years, 20 years, and these were my first couple of projects, and so I just wanted them to be as good as possible. And when you give a producer that kind of creative license, I think it leads to more creativity from them because they're not holding back.
Yeah.
And so when you have honest communication, I found it really awesome to see how crystal clear that music came out when the producers had the flexibility to say.
That was my next question. How did it feel like if you're an artist and you're just doing keys, you're just doing guitar, so it's really just you and the one instrument. What did it feel like the first time you heard the completed production?
The full thing?
Yeah, what did that feel like?
I was like, oh shoot, I'm gonna still play out alone.
Dang, I gotta get me a band.
Yeah, oh man, what are people gonna think? But I think what I've come to, and this has taken on a number of years, is that the recording is one representation of those songs, and the live is a totally different representation.
Yes.
And both are equally authentic and good, and it's really interesting to see. Some people only like the live.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say, I've never heard a concert of yours or a record of yours that's as good as your live performance. And then other people will say, I just miss the drums. And I totally prefer hearing your records to kind of hearing it live, just because I love full band and beats and all that.
Exactly. And sometimes it depends on what mood you're in. Sometimes you're in the mood to listen to a full production of an artist.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're just in the mood to hear the raw, stripped down, guitar, vocal only kind of setup.
Totally. I think, Yeah, actually, I was just having a conversation with the friends on the road trip down the 8
Uh-huh.
hours from DC, and we were talking about when we listen to music and why, and a lot of it has to do for them with where they are emotionally. You know, are they in kind of an upbeat, peppy mood? They want to listen to a little Justin Timberlake, you know,
Right.
or are they kind of in a chill mood and they just want to listen to a singer-songwriter who's articulating something deep and truthful, and that you need music for both those moments, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I tend to gravitate more towards the stripped down versions, and I'm getting a little flack from the crew here in the kitchen and in the cafes. Like, all right, we don't want that in the morning. I need something a little bit more upbeat in the morning.
You're listening to
late-
like the groanings
Yes.
of a solo singer-songwriter at 8 a.m. and they're like, we
Right.
need a little bit of
Yeah,
pep in
we
our
need a little
step.
bit more pep in the morning, a little more
Oh,
caffeine
man.
in that. All right, well, let's talk about, you've got a fairly new project. It came out, what do you say, in December?
Yeah, just December
Okay.
18th it hit iTunes.
And we're going to play a track off of that. What's the project called?
The record is called One Voice, and it was kind of, I mean, every record is a labor of love, but this kind of came over the course of about 18 months. There were 5 different producers on the
Wow.
record. Yeah, so
Wow.
kind of it started off in these separate projects
is-
with different people who were friends, or we were testing chemistry, and then in the end I was like, well, I have all these new songs and I really want to get these out in a way that people can buy them at shows and just kind of represent a new season in my music. And I think this music for me really does show a step forward, a maturing of my music and of the sonic quality of it. So
Very cool. Well,
Yeah.
the cut we're going to play is called Let It Break Through.
Yep.
Want to tell us a little bit about it before we run it?
yeah, I co-wrote this with a friend out in LA in the summer of 2011, actually. That's when we wrote it. And then we produced it in November of 2011, and I released it as just a single back then, but then have kind of put it out on this record. And it was basically a song that we wrote after a friend of mine, I was talking to her, and her son had gotten cancer. And
my
she was,
gosh.
yeah, she was just kind of explaining how that led to so much brokenness, because he was really young, kind of in his mid-20s, and he was in the, stride of life or whatnot, but how through that brokenness, just some really beautiful things were happening and growth. And so I took that story and concept into the co-write, and my friend Chris Franz and I, who produced this song, created this narrative of a person that you've always seen, and they've always been the stronger one. And as they get broken, you kind of learn from that and see something beautiful come through.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. If you're just joining us, you're listening to 95.7 The Choice, coming to you live from our home here at the Asheville Radio Cafe, 81 Patton Avenue. My guest here in the studio, my surprise ad hoc serendipitous guest is Tiffany Thompson, who we hijacked on her recreational trip from Washington, D.C. And this is a song called Let It Break Through. Here we go.
Always the stronger one, meant to be king and collide with setting suns. I always knew you'd find a home in the hearts of children, men, and stone. Brave enough to lead a charge, never let the weakest one fall. But the wind set your back, turned and attacked, dragging us down slow. Let it break through, let it break you. Don't you ever fear your heart is lost? Heaven's light you can trust to break through. Your golden hour faded quick.
Your station, your voice, your choice. 95.7 WGNW.
All right, we're back, and we're talking with Tiffany Thompson, our hijacked artist who was passing through town and was dragged into our studio and forced to do an interview and forced to do a set coming up here real shortly. Tiffany, so obviously you're on this trip and you're just cruising through Asheville and hanging out with your friends, having a good time. Getting to play here was really not on your agenda today, was it?
It was not, no.
I think we really caught you by surprise. Like, can you play tonight?
Right? No, I mean, that's the glory and the joy of doing music, I think, and being spontaneous and just kind of taking the opportunities that come and being grateful. I'm just really grateful to be here right now, definitely.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's awesome.
Now, we haven't talked about instruments. Let's touch base on
Definitely.
your instruments. I know you said when you came in, you said, well, do you have a guitar? And we didn't have a guitar around. But I have a keyboard. So how did you get started and pick an instrument, or you play both? Or give us a little background on that.
Yeah. Well, my mother's father, he owns a piano company in Cincinnati, Ohio. And so he made sure that all of his children had pianos in their home, and that there was an emphasis on taking music lessons, and that was just...
Oh, a lot of pressure there from the top down.
Yeah, it was like from the patriarch of the patriarchs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but that was awesome because it was kind of just understood that you would take some music lessons. And,
okay.
So I did that until I guess I was around 12 years old, but I never really practiced. So I learned the basics of piano, but I didn't really master it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I quit piano in my rebellious, 13-year of
Nobody's
life.
going to tell me what instrument I play.
Yeah, and I picked up guitar and fell in love with guitar and fell in love with writing on it, and it just suited me. And then maybe senior year of high school, I picked piano back up, and now I write equally on both, and just so love kind of the versatility of being able to switch to the different instruments.
Now, when you do a live show, do you switch back and forth?
I do normally, yeah.
Okay.
I try not to be too musical instrument,
Yeah.
like instead of musical chairs. So I try to do half the set on one and maybe like kind of a few and then end on guitar. But a lot of times I do guitar just because it's so much easier to travel with.
Okay.
And I just feel like that really, I like being able to hold it. I can interact with the audience in a more dynamic way. But when there's a keyboard there, especially a full piano, just getting a chance to play places that have a baby grand or something like that, there's so much sound that comes out of it, there's nothing like getting the chance to play your originals on a piano like that on like a main stage. It's a really cool experience.
Yeah. We just one of the local artists that we just featured just finished her recording project, and Mars Hill College is right up the road here.
Okay.
And that work was done on a Steinway concert grand.
Yeah.
And it just you listen to the recording, it's like, wow. That's just like, it's just oozing out.
Totally.
Very coolness. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So very cool. Well, we're gonna go right to, I think, another one of. Well, before they do that, how can people reach you? Let's make sure we don't forget about that. I want people to be able to connect with you before we do this next song.
Well, I'm on Twitter. If you're listening right now, please tweet to me. It's at Tiffany T, as in Thompson, Music, Tiffany T Music. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook. It's Tiffany T Music as well. That's my Facebook page. So those would be great ways. And then my website is tiffanythompsonmusic.com. And there's lots of different Tiffany Thompsons out there, so make sure you go to tiffanythompsonmusic.com. And there's all of the different web information there and links to the other sites and blog posts and videos and stuff.
Well, we want to create a really cool fan base for you right here in town.
Yeah, well, I'd love to come back now that I'm such a warm welcome.
Oh, yes. That's what we do here. What are we going to play next? We're looking at your Reverb page.
Yeah.
And you got 5 songs on here. We got time for one more. Which one do you think we should play?
Why don't we actually go ahead and play the first one there, Home?
Home?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Again, if you're listening to us right now here on the FM side, this is 95.7 The Choice. You can also catch this on a replay at 957thechoice.com. Our website has all the interviews archived, including Ryan Larkins, who we played earlier. And Tiffany's going to be taking the stage here at our Asheville Radio Cafe, 81 Patton Avenue. She'll be taking the stage in a few minutes. And here we go. This one is called Home.
I saw you there at the edge. Soles are thin from walking all alone from far away. Eyes are tired from searching. Maybe I am the end of the road. Maybe I am the hand you hold. Throw away those maps. This could be your chance. You don't need to be alone. Look into my eyes. Pull me to your side. I will be your home. Sit with me on the ledge forevermore, feet dangling. Confide in me, every fear. Come what may, I'll be here. Baby, I am the end of the road. Baby, I am the hand you hold. Throw away those maps. This could be your chance. You don't need to be alone. Look into my eyes. Pull me to your side. I will be your home. Everywhere we go, I know we'll find a way. Side by side, we are a brighter day. Love so deep, there's no words left to say. Throw away those maps. This could be your chance. You don't need to be alone. Look into my eyes. Pull me to your side. I will be. Oh, throw away those maps. This could be your chance. You don't need to be alone. Look into my eyes. Pull me to your side. I will be
All right, that's Home from Tiffany Thompson, my guest here in the studio, 95.7 The Choice, coming to you live from Asheville Radio Cafe right here downtown Asheville. And we're getting ready to start the set here with Tiffany. One more time, Tiffany, if you give out your contact information, I want to make sure people connect with you because you're an awesome artist. I really appreciate the flexibility to come in here, and really glad you met and just happened to wander in here today.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I want to make sure everybody knows how to connect with you. And so next time you come to town, we can help promote and get some, get a big crowd out for you.
Definitely. That would be awesome. Well, it's TiffanyThompsonMusic.com. And then Twitter is at Tiffany T Music. And Facebook is Tiffany T Music as well. So.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming in. And I'm looking forward to catching the set here up in a couple of minutes. And thanks again so much for stopping in.
Thank you, Peter.
Okay. Here we go.
Your station, your voice, your choice. 95.7 WGNW.